Welcome back to the X Podcast. We are back again with, how would you like to be known?
I haven't come up with my own nickname. In college, everyone called me Z Breezy. At the camp I worked for growing up, people called me Pooh Bear, like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
That was better than homeschool Harry.
Refraining from saying anything.
Okay.
Pooh Bear.
All right. Right now you look like
Pastor Pooh Bear.
You look like Cold Chris.
No. It's cold in here.
You're changing the subject so you don't say anything.
Yep, I'm practicing restraint, Pooh Bear. All right. We're going to start off next when we have him on with a big jar
Who's
of honey.
him?
Right?
You didn't even say who he is. For all the people listening, they have no idea who's on this
Zachary
podcast.
Brown, not the singer.
Not the singer. Zachary Brown.
Let's just go back to Toes in the Sand and just call it a day.
I don't know. There's some really big excitement around homeschool Harry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, we're back.
Stein Virgil loved it. So, okay. So to kick off today's topic, apparently I had an idea for which I did not do
I feel
homework.
like this whole intro was awful, and we should start over.
This intro was epic.
It was not epic.
It wasn't
that's
epic,
okay.
but it was
okay.
It was mid to good.
It was meh.
No, but I had an idea apparently, for which
Good. I can't wait to hear it.
for which I did no homework.
You're not ready for this?
Oh,
jeez.
I'm not. Well, language, but I can be.
We'll carry it.
Yep. I got some.
Yep.
So these two will carry it.
Yep.
All right. Carry my slack.
What was your idea?
We had posture Phil there for a second.
Posture Pete.
Posture.
Anyways.
I look over and I thought his spine snapped.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the idea.
Yeah, what's the idea?
That's what I want to know.
Okay.
Oh, so it wasn't
said
your
it was your
idea.
idea, but it
So it wasn't
No,
actually your idea.
it was my idea. I vaguely remember, and you told me it was my idea, but
No.
I didn't do anything for my idea.
pretty-
It was
It
definitely
was the
not your
headlines
idea.
thing.
Yeah, but it was definitely not your idea. I texted you. I said, hey, I have an idea.
Idea
You can go back
credit.
in the text messages.
Let's work it out.
I said, this is what I said. We should take the concept of hot takes,
Which
but
was
do the
your
same
idea.
thing with headlines.
Zach, I'm just going to look at you and tell you that is not what happened. I threw this out to him
bet it-
a month ago when we
Okay.
had to. But you know what? Ego
Did
doesn't
you?
matter at this table. Let's just go ahead.
Wait. You did?
Yes.
Via text?
Yes.
So I should be able to find your text where you threw this out to me?
Yes, but are we going to waste the viewers' time for our ego?
Okay. Dang it. Are you sure we can't? Because I really want to.
Well, you already
I
started
don't
on the process.
remember those. How do
Okay,
I
while he
search
looks it up,
this?
I'll explain
Yes.
what
Okay.
we're doing.
Okay, you
Okay.
explain it.
So,
I want to find
from
this.
what I
can't wait.
understand,
A month ago.
playing off the hot takes idea, since the three of us like to browse the headlines and see what's going on in the world, we have selected some headlines that are intriguing to us, that we think people might find interesting or fascinating or caught our attention. We're going to bring them to the table. We're going to present the headline, talk a little bit about what the article has to say, and then we're going to debate maybe about the implications of that article.
All right.
So
Or
that
the
was your
headline.
idea. So tell me what you
Oh,
thought.
did you look back?
No, I was just joking. I didn't say anything.
All right. So do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, kick us off.
Okay.
I'm excited about mine.
Okay.
You are. He's excited about them. You don't have any, but we got enough, I think, to cover it. So
yeah. Well, I've been trying to abstain from news over
Yeah,
the last 2.5
yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. So you don't have any.
I don't really have
because
any.
of that. But that's fine.
Well,
but you'll have thoughts. And
You'll
so
have thoughts.
So
I'll have
your
thoughts.
idea that I regurgitated apparently was that we should do it so it's more reactionary.
Zach just texted me and said he thinks it's his idea.
Well, it probably is. But I think it would be more reactionary that we not know. So let me start with one that I think
Lydia,
is,
it was not your idea. Lydia's texting saying it was her idea.
That's funny. So here's one. I'll
Okay.
give one of the headlines. There was a few articles that came out on this that caught my attention. Here it is. Kind of long. Scientists say they'll cut back on bottled water after learning 1 liter contains 250,000 pieces of plastic.
Microplastics.
No, not just microplastics. I want you to consider this.
Macroplastics.
No, not macro. The bottle is the macroplastic. Apparently, there's microplastics in it, but there's even more than that. So let me give you a little bit of the synopsis. I don't have the article in front of me. I do have the link. So I got this one. It popped up probably about a week and a half ago, and then another one came out. They found, by doing a specific type of study with lasers, that there are very, very tiny pieces of plastic in our bottled water.
Mm-hmm.
In these
They've been
bottled
saying
water.
that for a while, right?
Huh?
They've been saying that for a while.
They've not found it to the extent. They didn't have a great way of testing this to really know. And what they found was per liter of water that there are at least somewhere around 250,000 pieces of plastic inside of your drinking water.
You know Jessica that was here last night?
Okay.
She goes to our church, but the whole company she works with is like Kangen water, but it's around this whole thing about how, yes. She posted some stat not too long ago about the amount of inorganic matter that we swallow and digest every single year that not only affects our bodies, but the quality of the water.
So
apparently it's a big deal.
It is. We don't realize it. We've been doing it forever. And so there's two particular plastics that they refer to in the articles. One is microplastics. Do you know what microplastics are? You know what size?
Like less than 1/10 of a centimeter?
No. 5 millimeters or less is considered a microplastic. And they said that 90% of the plastic pieces inside our water, not the bottle, inside the water, is microplastics and absorb. So we drink them. They end up inside of our bodies, and they can adversely affect our digestive system. They say, and with animals, respiratory system, endocrine system, reproductive, and immune systems going through our body. So you have all this really, really microplastics. The other 10% are called nanoplastics.
Are they slightly bigger than
No, way smaller. Nanoplastics are anywhere from like 1 to, they say, up to 1,000 nanometers. So it's way smaller than the microplastics, and they're much smaller. However, what they're discovering potentially is that they're more dangerous because they're so small that they can potentially get absorbed inside of the cell.
Your bloodstream,
in the cell, like through the cell membrane. That's how small they are, and then it could actually cause problems with our at a cellular level, molecular level in our bodies. So that was crazy. So I'm kind of thirsty. I want to take a drink. It hasn't caused me to stop, but it's really made me pause and go, And so again, the nanoplastics and some of the things they think are two things. They think partially from the bottle itself is the nanoplastics could be coming off of the bottle itself. Second thing is they think it's part of the filtered process at the plants. So they have all kinds of filtration things built in to filter out all the other stuff, and that some of the plastics from the filtration system is what is getting into the very micro and the nano are what is getting into the water. So they're basically saying it's a catch-22. You're trying to filter and make the water clean, pure, but in the process of doing that, you're also introducing plastics into it, and you can't kind of have them both ways.
Yeah. Maybe this is just the way I think, but I've been yelled at and said, well, you can't drink tap water because there's too much fluoride in it, and that's the government's trying to control us through fluoride and tap water, and then if you drink this, you got all the I know you got all the microplastics. So basically, we're screwed either way. So why drink water?
Yeah, don't drink water. That's the whole point. So anyways, I just found that a really fascinating article. Drinking bottled water.
But for real, what do people wish we do about it?
Don't drink bottled water.
I think
apparently.
Yeah, I drink a lot of bottled water, but I think I have always been told you shouldn't. First off, it depends on where you live as far as the tap water. I hear conflicting things on that. Although, isn't it true that Ohio is one of the worst places when it comes to natural tap water?
No idea.
I could be wrong on that.
No idea.
But unless it's just toxic, I think a good mix. I think it's almost like that thing of don't go outside and be around anything dirty. I think you can almost develop an unhealthy immune system if you just get rid of anything tap. So I've always done at least a little bit of tap water here and there. I think obviously you can do your in-home. You have very inexpensive like filter systems.
Yeah.
That whether it's filtered bottles
Brita
or
pure filters. Or
So really, I mean, probably the best thing is to get like one of whatever you have, and have filtered water that you carry around all day. It is crazy how much they say it can affect you. Like forever ago, I read a book by Jordan Rubin, the guy that created Garden of Life, wrote the Maker's Diet.
Yeah.
And one of his follow-up books, he talked about how, it's not just you are what you eat. You ever heard the adage? But it's also you are what you put on your skin. So not just with water that you drink, but I've literally heard stories, and he had testimonies from that book of people that put filtration systems on everything in their house, not just their tap, but on their shower system.
Yeah.
And he told stories of people who, for the first part of this experiment, didn't change their diet or their exercise, but just changed their water that they were showering with and drinking and lost 10 pounds.
What?
Because people don't realize that what they're putting on their bodies is going into their bodies. Isn't it crazy?
That is kind of fascinating, actually.
That is interesting.
I'm going to try that.
So anyways,
Maybe I'll lose
I
10
don't know what
pounds.
to take from it.
That's why you have at Whole Foods the Tom's stuff, like the Tom's deodorant that doesn't really work. That's why the whole granola community does that, because
That's why. Okay. That makes sense.
So
That
anyways,
makes sense. Okay.
you are what you are. You are what you drink.
you are what
We
you
are
drink.
becoming plastic.
We are.
I just found that kind of
That is
interesting.
fascinating.
Yeah.
What I really, and I want to go to you. What I really want to talk about that I just think we can't is I am really, for the first time, officially, how do I say it? Nervous about November and our election.
Yeah. Is this a headline you have?
No, I don't know. At some point, maybe we can find a safe way to talk about this. But I think there's some heavy things going on right now that are leading up to November.
Yes.
And politics and the
You should have brought a headline
democracy in our.
for that.
I don't even know if a headline would be safe. So, anyways.
We should.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a good one to do because I have thoughts. Here's the headline.
Yeah.
Americans can no longer afford their cars.
Huh.
For decades, car ownership has been a trademark of American lifestyle. But in 2024, the country's legendary love story made me think about you. Might be going away. So here's the stat. New car prices last year rose 1% to an average of $50,364 for a new car.
What? The average rose $50,000?
No, the average rose 1%, and you're saying
To an
that
average of
got us at
50
$50,000 for the average price of a car.
Yep. While used car prices fell by only 2% to an average of $31,030.
Yeah, that's kind of hyperbolic a little bit. I mean, you can buy a new car for 20-some thousand if you want still.
Depending on, I'm just saying
I'm just
it's
saying, like,
average.
The average car is not $50,000. The average price, when you include probably trucks that are $90,000 and high-end sports cars that cost $100 and some $1,000, and the average sedan that costs $35,000 to $40,000.
Let me finish. According to an October report by MarketWatch,
Liar.
Americans need an annual income of at least $100,000 to afford a car, at least if they're following standard budgeting advice, which says you shouldn't spend more than 10% of your monthly income on car-related expenses. That means that more than 60% of American households cannot afford to buy a new car based on census data. Are we reaching a point
Hogwash.
where cars are going to become more of a luxury and not something that people have 3 or 4 sitting in their driveway? Or do we see the rise, again, we've talked about several things, are we going to see the rise of autonomous vehicles, robot vehicles, different things like that start to come
What
up?
is this?
I'm just asking the question. I'm connecting these things.
I feel like you
in my
created
mind.
quite an extreme. You went like, are we seeing cars now becoming a luxury item
Yes.
instead of having 3 or 4 parked in the driveway? I don't have 3 or 4 cars parked in my driveway that I own. I mean, Audrey has one, but that's not mine.
Are you telling me I have to get rid of 4 or 5 of my vehicles?
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I didn't understand that.
Yes.
I want to say, I think that, okay, just like most headlines, and this is what we have to or we have to sift through.
That was a Taylor
You have to
40.
Taylor, Taylor Fordyism.
Just
I
like-
think that is clickbait.
You think it's clickbait?
100%.
It sounded like, I don't know, it sounded like standard boilerplate. I wasn't even a joke. I'm serious.
Nice. That was cute.
No, but I'm serious. It sounded like what you were reading was kind of a straightforward, stat.
Okay, I'm going to say my experience in going to dealerships and looking at prices
So
of cars. 'Cause
anecdotal
we
experience.
did that. No,
But
yeah, but it's real. Like
You haven't done that in 3 years.
That's not true. We were looking at price of cars just like 3 weeks ago.
The Lambo?
It's for my wife. That's a present.
Okay.
You get that reference. But no, no, we were looking at prices of cars, and what I'm saying is I could go pull up we have a great friend that has your car.
Yeah, he
at
does.
His dealership.
He does. I'm
And
driving a
I can
hybrid
go-
today.
And I could go pull up. You have what?
A hybrid today.
And I could go and pull up Nissan's website and show you that about 85 to 90% of their cars are all under $50,000. I'm just not buying this idea that the average. I just like how you get at that. Like you can have like luxury cars, Range Rovers, and other things that cost over $100 and some $1,000, and then you have what most normal people who aren't making $250,000 and up are driving.
You're stuck on
The truth.
you're stuck on this average price of the car, but the point of the article was that Americans might not be able to afford their car. Not everyone
At
might.
$50,000 a year, I agree.
Well, even if it's $35,000 or $30,000, depending on what interest rate you get, I mean, your payment might be $400, $500.
Well, Dave Ramsey would say you shouldn't even be having a payment. That you should save. You should never borrow.
That's fine. That's not what how most people operate within the context of American
So
budgets.
it has been obviously a very, very, very long time since I've looked for a car. But are you telling me, like, if you were to go to a used car dealership, it would be really hard to find a car that's more in the range of 10 to 15,000?
I think what you would find, I'm inferring this based off of this article, is that to find a car that maybe is the same quality as your car, it's going to be exponentially more expensive than what you could think. Since 2020, new car prices have risen by 30%, while in the same time frame, used car prices have jumped by 38%.
I would love to see their information because I've looked at prices of cars over the last few years, just always looking, and I can go to their website, and I would totally challenge the idea that new car prices have climbed by 30%.
No.
I would be happy to.
Since 2020, let me make that
You
clear.
said 2022.
I said since 2020, over 2023, it's risen by 1%, but since 2020, it's a much larger jump. Since the pandemic, new car prices have risen 30%. Over the last year, it's only risen marginally.
I almost would say I don't buy it. I can tell you because I know the price. I got my current car used, my Maxima, and I know the price on it, sticker.
Mm-hmm.
I could go look up a new car price now, and I'd be shocked that it was 30% higher because I looked at them not that long ago. So I mean, again, maybe that's taking into consideration an average, and there are some that have jacked their prices way up. I don't know.
Assuming the stats are right, maybe a different way to say what you're saying, if you agree, is that because I don't know how, unless you're in New York or LA and you can just Uber and taxi, whatever.
Oh, you can get away with not.
Yeah, I don't know how
having a car.
transportation ever becomes a luxury instead of a necessity. I could see maybe like multiple car families, like that whole thing is more of a luxury if work schedules are flexible. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're heading towards a lot of tension if the stat's true. He doesn't seem to buy it.
Hey, I don't.
He does not.
I don't.
He does not.
He does not
That's
believe
fine.
your
I will
stats.
say they have climbed significantly since 1950s.
Although, let's just I don't
Everything has climbed significantly since
They've climbed
1950s.
significantly since the 1950s.
But like, what's that little raise right there? That's got to be the last 3 years.
Been coming back down. I don't know. This is 2000 right here, maybe.
Well, I don't have a headline, but speaking of transportation, this is a bad year if you want to not just drive but fly. I mean, the last few weeks have been really bad for the airline industry.
Yeah.
From doors popping off,
Oh,
Alaska
yeah,
Airlines.
Airlines.
I mean, but no. Here's
Boeing 737s.
Here's why I'm saying this. This is actually a really big deal. So you have multiple incidents of a major series in Boeing. They ground all these airplanes.
Yep.
They're having to go back through this rigorous checking. So then 2 weeks ago, you have another incident in a whole line from Airbus. I don't know if you know this. There are only 2 major airline manufacturers in the world, Boeing and Airbus. So it's not like there's a third option of like safer commercial airplanes to fly right now.
Yeah.
So on top of that, you have so many people in the airline industry the last 3 years ringing the bell that we are entering into danger zone from staff shortages of air traffic controllers, pilots being arrested. I'm nervous for the airline industry in the next year or two from both a manufacturing standpoint and a staff standpoint.
You gonna stop flying?
No, I can't.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think cars on average will be a luxury item. I think this is my guess, that whenever you're in a consumer, like you're talking about a consumer product and a consumer economy, supply and demand are checks and balances for each other, right? They create the guardrails on this. Okay, if manufacturers continue to raise the price of their cars to the point where people can't afford those cars, then their bottom line is going to see it. So if people can't buy it, then the demand isn't there, and the supply builds up, the price of the cars are going to have to drop. So I think that there's a little bit of some checks and balances in there to keep it from getting to the point where a car is a luxury. Now, with that being said, I think that certain manufacturers and certain types of cars may become more of a luxury than they had been known lately.
Trucks.
Well, trucks to me are like, it's crazy though. For a lot of people in certain work industry, is not a luxury. But you cannot buy a pickup truck almost for less than $50,000, and that's base. That's like a work truck. I mean, it's crazy now. Like you go see pickup trucks, and because I know I've got family members and people in pickup trucks, and you get a F-250, a dually, you get something like that. That's a $90,000 vehicle.
All I'm saying is
maybe more.
All I'm saying, we can move on. I think we all are in agreement that there's disruptions coming to the travel industry as more technology comes, as cars are getting loaded up more than ever with computer chips, things, safety features. They're nice and they're wonderful to have, but it is going to be interesting to see what it does to the price of these items.
Well, I think what happens is you'll have new players introduced into it that will do it for less. We're already seeing that right now. There's an electric car manufacturer, EV manufacturer in China that has been around. It's kind of a name. It's kind of an odd name. I didn't really recognize it, but they've been around for quite a while now. They've gotten to the point now where they have surpassed, I think, Tesla in the most cars sold every month.
Well, didn't Tesla just recall literally almost every car?
Yeah, but that recall is not a big deal. Like the recall
when it's
with
every car in your line, it is.
It's not. All it was is a software update. It was just it was something in their autopilot in the way it did it because of a couple things that happened. So they're like, again, what happens is the news, just like all these other things, they blow things way out of proportion, and they go, yep, we have a recall, and we just pushed a software patch down fixed on 2 million cars. It wasn't like, oh, gosh, these are dangerous cars. You can't go drive. It was a software.
10 people got decapitated
yeah,
on a
something
bridge.
like that. Again, we got to
real.
remember, this is the thing we always have to play when we play the headline game. We got to understand how much of this is actual. It is meant to induce fear so that you freak out.
He just
about
pointed
being
to
able to buy a
Zachary.
car.
If
He
you were
is
watching.
he is the arbiter of fake news on our headline.
Thank you.
Pastor Tim. All right, your next article.
Well, first, dream car.
Oh, I've always been a Dodge 1968 Challenger, Vin Diesel. I mean, American Muscle.
Okay.
That's been my car.
You? Tesla or Lambo?
Mm.
Ferrari.
Mm.
No, it's Tesla or Lambo.
Mm. Okay, realistically speaking, I've always loved the idea of having a Tesla. That's like everyday driver, realistic.
I'm
That
still
would be-
mad at
that
you
would-
for not getting it. You could have gotten it,
Yeah, that's okay. I got a Nissan.
which is very
And
nice.
I got a great deal.
Yes.
And I'm all about that. And so someday I may end up having like a vehicle like mine. I was talking to our good friend, and a Tesla. Like, you pick and choose gas or electric, or get used one. I have a friend who's selling one used right now, a Model S, used for a good price. If you're interested,
Really?
interested? Yep. Got a decent number of miles on it. It is about 7 or 8 years old, but I think it's in great shape.
I just feel like
Are you sure you don't want one?
I feel like fully electric in the
20
Midwest is
grand.
tough.
20 grand.
Wait, really?
Model S too. That's my dream one. Anyways, Model S Plaid.
Send me something.
Okay. So that would be.
I've been hanging on to this Nissan
Yeah.
for dear life.
So
it's in the
so
shop
that
right
would
now.
be, but more exotic than that would probably be like, I mean, exotic.
Maserati.
No, probably Ferrari.
Ferrari
Did
would
you
be
see the
so
new
cool.
movie?
Ferrari would be really cool.
Did you see it?
Ford versus Ferrari?
No, the new movie. Ferrari. It's literally just called Ferrari.
Ferrari. I haven't seen it. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, it was intense.
Really?
Intense. I didn't know all the backstory of like the real life
Story of-
wrecks that happened in Italy, where all the people lost their lives, and like the whole story of Ferrari.
Don't
The
ruin
guy.
it.
Okay, you just gotta go
Don't
see
ruin
it.
it. I wanna go
I
see
think
it.
it's still in theaters.
But
I don't
anyways,
know, but it's
Ferrari.
great.
But I always look at the poor man's Ferrari as
Okay.
a potential dream sports car, which is the mid-engine Corvette.
Okay.
Yeah.
The mid-engine Corvette to me. Remember we were in Atlanta and we posed with one. There was one there. It's the closest looking thing to a Ferrari, but it's about a third or quarter or whatever of a Ferrari price.
The price.
So someday that may be if I sell my house and then I take all the equity out of my house and buy a sports car, which I was tempted to once. Joking, but kinda.
But
All right.
When I got to
Next
drive,
headline.
when I got to drive a Ferrari, my wife was like, "We need one of these." I was like, "Yes, we should sell our house and then use all the equity to buy a Ferrari. That would be wise."
It'd be shockingly.
We did not do that. Okay, so here's another one that I want to just jump off that last one, and then I have one that's slightly different, and we will probably be done by the time you've got a couple too. So this one I found fascinating, and why I brought this. I thought I would stick
I
with
was
the
gonna say, I
water.
didn't think you owned any
I
like
thought,
that.
oh yeah. I thought I would stick with the. I thought I would stick with the water theme.
I don't know. I have water.
It was this article that came out. Just read it
Okay.
today or yesterday. Says this was the headline. Everyone was supposed to buy one reusable water bottle 15 years ago and carry it to their grave. And so this article is kind of, again, a joke, and it's a headline, right? This
What news?
The Guardian.
Okay.
It was fascinating. This article, what it basically said was, and they were talking about, they were asking the question, how great is it for our planet that people are buying these as a fashion trend and not for the green purpose of which it was meant to be, which is, buying one of these vacuum sealed steel
I don't know this. I love this actually.
water bottles and reusing this, and they should not go bad anytime soon. Whereas now they were talking about the Stanley craze, and they were talking specifically about basic white women and Stanley craze, because it kind of seems to be
That's
like
what it is.
It really does, and
It's a chuggy. Chuggy.
yeah. And so they were like, okay,
Yeah, we just got an eye roll from Zachary.
Well, it's not, Tuki is more millennial. Like this
You are
transcends generations. It's not just for older millennial white women.
You don't think there's a disproportionate concentration of Stanley craze in the chuggy generation?
No, it's just as much in Gen Z.
it is crazy.
I've seen our
but
Gen
I
Z
agree-
staff
but I think
members come in with
I think it lives
just
in
as
both.
much. Yeah,
I do think it
I
lives
think it
in
lives
both.
in both, but
I think it lives in both, but what started off with, they were talking about this. They were like, I forget how many years ago, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years. You really saw this 7 years ago with like the younger age of all of them wanting hydro flasks. I remember when my daughters at school was like, we need a hydro flask, and they had all these cool colors. You get them to match, right? Then Stanley, here's a fascinating stat about Stanley, right? Stanley in I think it was like before 2020 or in 2020, no, trying to think of when the craze really kicked off, but it might have been either a year ago or 2 years ago. Stanley made like $75 million in its products. It's all of its products. The following year, when the Stanley craze took off, they made $750 million. And now, and they're like told the story of this one girl who was literally standing in line or waiting outside for Target to open so she could get the new color that was dropped this year, and how she was running to get it and fell and just face planted and bruised her knees and everything, but she didn't care because she got the new color Stanley, and how they all have one to match every outfit of every day of the week, and now how people are basically stockpiling these. And it was, yes, I think most people would say that they're still better for you than the plastic bottles. However, it was kind of just almost satire and joking and going, are we defeating the purpose of what this was, where it turned into a fad and a craze? And now it's not just Stanley. There's every kind of brand you can imagine. And my daughter got one. My oldest daughter got one for Christmas that she wanted. Again, these are popular with influencers, social media influencers, all kinds of stuff. And she got a brand, I don't know which one it is, that is absolutely not like Stanley. It's better. It's spill-proof. 100% spill-proof. I kid you not. Tip it upside down, do whatever you want, knock it over, and this thing's a tank. A tank. So it was kind of a funny article that I just thought I'd bring in conjunction that was like, this do you think people were originally doing about being green because it made you cool, even on social media, to I use this.
And
it's
now
turned into everybody having 10 of them in their cupboards to match every color and style and every brand that's out there. And they're saying, is this really still good for our environment?
I was just talking to someone who said they literally have one to match every single outfit that they have to go to work. And that's after they went through the cupboards and got rid of a lot of them. So
I just don't think they're that cool.
Yeah.
I'd lose one. Like, I'd probably go through like 10 in a year because I'd just leave it in spots.
You know what's funny? They were talking about Stanley as a
I feel like
brand.
I'd drink less water if I had one of those like
you know
metallic things.
what's funny about Stanley, the
It'd
brand?
be funny to watch.
They
you
said
carry around
that
one.
Stanley, they have completely shifted their entire brand. Their brand, if you all know this, right, from years back, their brand only primarily appealed to men in work industry. Like my wife, I remember years ago when her first talking about, I want a Stanley. And she was like, yes, they're popular again. She was like, the only thing I remember is my dad, because her dad was in construction, and he would have that heavy metal stain, and he still has it, Stanley thermos that had the cup on the top that you pour the coffee into it. And every day he went out and worked in construction and in concrete, and he would, fill that sucker up with coffee, and it'd be all day, keep it hot. And so they talked about how it's a 100-year-old brand that has literally shifted all of their marketing and everything about their brand from men, especially in construction and that type of environments, to women of a certain age and demographic, because this is the way they're making all their money.
It's interesting.
It is crazy. So anyways, I don't know. Plastic.
Interesting. Is that yours?
Yeah, Hydro Flask. I shifted to this a while ago going, you know what? I don't need water bottles. And that lasted.
That's not true. That's the
I've never
first time
seen
I've
that.
seen you carry that.
Oh, yeah. It lasted an entire month. And then I got tired of making it, and I grabbed one of these on my way out.
There we
I
go.
was not good for the environment. So sometimes I get motivated. I'm like, I need to, because my wife asks, why are we buying all these water bottles?
Yeah.
We own so many of these. Just put ice and water from our filtered refrigerator and be done with it. She's right. We should.
I feel
better
okay
idea.
about what I do now. I get the gallon, 99-cent.
Plastic jug.
It is plastic, but it lasts.
Do you refill it and take it back and refill it instead of buying a new
They
one?
say you're safe to refill like once or twice.
Yeah, and then it can be.
And then it can be gross, and then you got your own. Yeah.
Here's what I do. I get one of these, and then I take a plastic bottle of water.
You pour it in.
I'm pouring water from my plastic bottle into it.
All right.
we go.
Why don't we
Sorry.
do one more?
One more.
Okay, this is a fascinating one to me. 10 cent sees a future. That's one word. 10 cent sees a future where everyone gets by with just a swipe of the hand. Now, 10 cent is a Chinese-based tech company that owns what they call the super app WeChat, which is
Yep.
does everything, social networking, ordering groceries, digital payments. They're rolling out what's called the I can't pronounce this word, so
Say it. Try it.
Wexian palm payment. It's a biometric system that is only available for use in mainland China. And the goal is to allow you to ditch your wallet, your ID, all these things when you get on the subway, when you go to a grocery store, retail store, is a palm-based payment system.
The mark of the beast.
That literally,
It's the mark of the beast.
You wave your palm over it, and that your transaction happens, or it identifies you, or
You know, it's bad. This shows that I just need to see less movies like this. But I saw Jason Statham's new movie,
The Beekeeper?
Beekeeper,
Yeah.
and you know, it's pretty good. It's over the top.
Okay.
Revenge indulgence.
Yeah.
And there were moments, not to give anything away, where he had to
Yeah, don't give it away.
cut off.
Don't give it away.
This didn't give any plot away. Where he, and this is a little graphic, so cover your ears, children. Where he cut off fingers that provided access into certain areas, and now all I can picture you saying that is criminals
Cutting
who
off
now,
hands.
instead of stealing wallets, will
Cut hands
kidnap
off.
and cut off palms
That
and
would
find a
happen.
way prosthetically to. That would happen.
I think it would happen.
you think so?
100%.
To me, it feels like it's way more secure. Think about it. Like,
Your body parts aren't.
You think the mark of the beast is more secure?
whoa, you said it was the mark of the beast. I didn't say it was the
Are
mark of
you
the
saying
beast.
you don't think this is the mark of the beast?
I don't know if I. We're only gonna know afterwards.
I want to know. Okay, wait, hold on. Did the article say how does it get implanted in your palm?
It's not implanted. It literally is a biometric scanner
Of your palm.
of your palm.
Oh.
So it looks at the lines, the wrinkles. It's
Kind of
all
read your future.
no. But
Well, it probably just your palm, so it doesn't need the fingertips for your fingerprint. It can actually get. I mean, we do have a lot of
here's what it
strange
says.
lines on our hands, and maybe they're unique.
Infrared cameras. So they hover their hands over a sensor. Infrared cameras then analyze the individual palm prints and unique patterns of veins under the skin, allowing each user to be identified and the payment to be processed.
Well, I wonder if you would see, for security purposes, that type of thing with, like, if it's security for getting it with a monitor thing that would also
Like a
also camera
facial-
on your face. So it needs to match the face. So you can't just steal someone's hand,
How would you steal someone's hand?
cut it off.
Yeah.
You cut it off.
Okay. Sounds like you're planning something.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you would cut it off.
That's yeah.
How would you do it if it were up to you? All right.
I don't
That's
know.
strange,
I-
but interesting.
It is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like so apparently this is the last thing I'll say. Amazon has had this same technology actually available for a while here in America. They've not yet launched it yet, but I think
We'll sign for our packages this way.
I think the way I don't know if we're going to sign for packages this way, but I think the way society is going, we're going to more convenience, more cashless society, all these different types of things. You're going to see more things like this in our culture, and
Let me
it's going to be interesting.
let me guess.
I think it'd be kind of cool to just
Oh, absolutely. I bet you they'll do it too for $666 that you can get this thing scan right on your hand and you can.
okay, okay,
Okay. Oh.
PZ, quick thoughts
yeah,
on political landscape.
okay. You went there.
Yeah, I mean, just in closing.
That's a lot to bring up. Should we save this for
Well,
another
I'm not.
headline?
We're not deep dive. Just like, I don't know. Where's your head at?
I think we've known this for a while. It's a two-way. It's a two-horse race, and it's going to be Trump and Biden, and that's what's going to happen. And
Both of them need walkers to get there.
Yep, and that's going to be our choice. There's no good challenger to Trump, and I don't think anything's going to happen within context of any of the legal challenges he's facing. Is going to keep him from the ballot
And for anyone
in November.
if there was any legitimate opposition to him in the Conservative Party, they needed to drop out because in Iowa, didn't like from what I heard, it was like he won by like 50%.
He had 51%.
51%. And then the other vote was to other people who were literally going to drop out. I'm thinking specifically
But it was the Iowa caucus.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, if let's just be really real. Like, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
If there was a remote chance of somebody else, it'd be Nikki Haley.
Ron DeSantis actually came in second in Iowa caucus.
They're saying that depending on how Nikki does in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
if she wins the thing, that would
She would have to win New Hampshire.
solidify her standing as second.
Place.
Yeah.
She has,
runner-up.
no
one's going to
no
be.
one's going to beat
No
Donald
one's
Trump.
going to, but
He is going to be the Republican candidate.
Yes.
That's guaranteed.
I just think Nikki had some momentum there for a while.
She did.
And the other ones needed to drop out a while back.
Yeah.
If they really wanted there to be legitimate opposition.
Vivek
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
He dropped out.
He did drop out.
Yes.
Yep.
After the Iowa
Chris
caucus.
Christie dropped out right before.
Yeah.
Right now it's just down to
DeSantis
3.
probably won't.
No,
I don't think he would drop
not
out. But
not maybe until South Carolina.
we have other headlines, but we'll save them for another one because I had some about the Middle East.
Okay.
And there is some, and it's not about Israel and Gaza.
It's about us bombing the Houthis
It is.
in Yemen. And
It is opposite. Yeah, absolutely about that.
Mhm.
And Iran attacking Pakistan.
Yep.
And there's one headline that I had. We won't go
Or
into it, but
ISIS
I'll just-
blowing something up in Iran.
It's just right
Not-
now. This was fascinating headline: how 10 Middle East conflicts are converging into one big war.
Mm.
And the U.S.
Oh,
is
smaller.
involved in all of it, and the U.K. They're the ones that have been trying to protect the trade route in the Red Sea, in the Suez Canal, and it is getting. It's a tinderbox over there.
Big news in Ohio too. The bill that was going to restrict kids from having access to TikTok and Instagram, that was supposed to happen on January 15th, under the age of 16, was put under like a stay or a court order. It did not go into effect. Well, they're still trying to figure
So you
out.
can still get on TikTok if you're under 15.
16.
Or 16? Under
Yep.
16.
The rule was that if you were under the age of 16 and you wanted to have a TikTok or Instagram account, you had to have parental consent. That was set to take place, in effect here in Ohio, January 15th.
I think that would be a good law.
Well, the tech companies are challenging it
Yeah.
under the legality that it's impossible. It's very broad.
It is.
It's impossible to enforce. They can't. They can't actually. There's no good way to actually see
Can't
it happen.
prosecute. Like,
You can't enforce it. I mean, I remember when my daughters wanted Instagram, and we gave them Instagram, or we let them. Like, we're like, okay, we're gonna follow you on Instagram. You do this, but I don't know that they were old enough at the time. Like, you had to give consent. You had to do something. I can't remember what it was, but I mean, I think their age is like 13 or something. But that's just a program. Like, that's just what Instagram or one of them say. You saying that you're 13 years old? What's your birthday?
Yeah.
Everybody just puts in whatever birthday they want.
Yeah, I think what's tricky about this Ohio law is that the bill, and I've not seen the actual text, was trying to transfer some of the accountability or responsibility to the social media companies
Yeah.
to enforce that, and they're challenging the legality of that in the court. I think
All you have to
potentially
do
could
is put your
side
social
with them.
security number in, and then they could verify it. Could
Although
you
it
imagine
seems
having to
it's-
give your social security number for TikTok?
it seems odd to challenge that you have to enforce a law. Every gas station attendant has to enforce the law that you can't buy cigarettes or porn or alcohol under a certain age. So, like, the requirement of
Yeah, but I think from a
enforcement.
technology standpoint, I don't know that they physically can. Like, I mean, it's one thing where you can say, "Show me your ID." Your
But he
state
said the
is your ID.
legality.
I
So
think
you're
it's-
saying
I'm
the
saying-
practicality of
Well,
you can't.
No, but I think it's the responsibility. I think it's what happens for somebody that's underage, something happens, and somebody wants to sue them. I think it goes back to almost that big question that's been floating around forever. Should gun manufacturers be liable when somebody uses their gun to go commit a crime? You know what I mean? It kind of goes like, how do you hold them responsible for that? This is, I think, even more challenging.
It would apply to new accounts being created on gaming platforms, message boards, social media companies. So it's not just Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, and it's currently being challenged that it's too broad. It's in violation of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So,
Freedom of speech? What did you say? That
How's that going to freedom of speech?
I don't know. It's one thing for you to be able to say whatever you want, however you want to say it. It's another thing for somebody to give you their private platform. And, like, I just don't.
That'd be like them not letting me get back on Public's intercom and making jokes again because it's infringement of my First Amendment right.
So the
I
law
agree. They should let you get on there and do it.
So law states that these companies must create a method to figure out if these users are children under 16, get parental or legal guardian consent to their terms of service before children under the age of 16 can use the platform, and send the parent a copy of their consent in writing. Give parents their privacy guidelines so they know what will be censored or moderated on a child's profile. Deny access to the user if there's no consent given. Present parents with a list of censoring or content moderation features, and comply by January 15th, 2024.
That's a lot to put in place for these big organizations when you're talking about billions of people.
Millions in the state of, it's just state of Ohio right now.
Oh, just state of Ohio? Millions.
State of Ohio.
I think the solution is real simple. All you have to do is these companies have to introduce with the camera is a way to scan the mark of the beast on the
palm.
And
there
then
we
you
go.
would know how old they are.
See, it's all connected.
Wexham Palm biometric.
I tell you what, mark of the beast is coming. We're going to talk about it this year. It's going to be fun.
Well, this has been fun. If there are, I mean, we really haven't kind of just hit a bunch of current events in a while.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and there's topic or current event you think would be fun to address, a headline
that gets your attention.
Send us something in.
Send us a headline and we'll talk about it.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I like that.
Do you remember on, I'm dating myself a little bit. I think it's either Jimmy Fallon or it might have been before him, like Jay Leno. Do you remember one of them? Headlines?
Leno.
And it was Leno. And I love that.
Those are my favorite.
But they were hilarious
Those
headlines that were just misprints and other things sent in. So this is like that, but we need to figure out how to find those.
Have you really don't care that the strike's been over for a few months. You don't listen to Colbert, Fallon.
That's pretty much where you get your news then.
That is where you get your news from.
Well, that's not where I get my news from. That is a fun way. The first week of we've been in a fast and so I've been kind of off news.
Yeah.
But so for a week I was still watch Colbert at night, his monologue, and I'm like, this is kind of still getting news, so I stopped. But Colbert is he's just hilarious. By the way, just shout out, got to see Nate Bargatze last Thursday, and it was the funniest show I've ever been to in my entire life. It was
How many times
so
did you Russ
funny.
laugh?
Oh, a lot. It was so funny. All right. Thanks for watching. As always, joining these conversations, send us something in at podcast@thex.church. Until next week, we'll see you then.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church. Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.